In today's class, let's see what is forfeiting. Forfeiting is also an example of a fund-based financial service. So, forfeiting is applicable to international trade. If you are an exporter and you are going to sell goods to someone who's in another country and you want to sell the goods, then you'll find an importer, you will sell the goods to the importer, and the importer gives you a bill of exchange that will promise to pay the amount after a certain period of time, maybe after 30 days or maybe after 2 months, whatever is the agreement between the exporter and the importer. Now, the exporter does not want to wait till the due date to get the amount of the bill of exchange. So he'll approach a bank known as the forfeiter, and the forfeiter will give the amount after charging a certain amount for his service. So forfeiting is a type of financing that helps exporters receive immediate cash by selling their receivables at a discount through a third party. The payment amount is typically guaranteed by an intermediary such as a bank, which is the forfeiter. So there'll be a bank. The bank will collect this bill of exchanges from the seller or the exporter, and they will give amount. That is, suppose you made a sale worth rupees 1 lakh, then the bank will charge certain fees for forfeiting, and then they will pay you the whole amount immediately. That is, suppose the charge that the bank will take is rupees 20,000 or something, then they will cut that 20,000 as the service charge and then give you the remaining amount entirely at that moment itself. So forfeiting is also a technique of financing. Now, what is the difference between factoring and forfeiting? So, in case of factoring, it includes both domestic and export business. There was a type of factoring known as the international factoring where the export-import transactions are also considered. So, it could be either domestic or export business. But in case of forfeiting, forfeiting deals only with export business. Domestic transactions are not dealt with under forfeiting. In case of factoring, the invoice is purchased by the factor from the client. But in case of forfeiting, export bill or the bill of exchange or the promissory note given by the importer to the exporter is purchased by the forfeiter. Now, factoring is a broader term because it includes many other services also. The factor will promise to handle the sales ledger of the client. He will agree to bear the credit risk. He will provide consultancy services. So various other services are provided by the factor apart from financing the bills. But in case of forfeiting, only the financing aspect is provided. That is the forfeiter, who is a bank in India, Exim Bank, the export-import bank, that is the Exim Bank will act as the forfeiter. So they will only be concerned with collecting the bills and paying the amount. They will not be offering any other additional services. Now, in case of factoring, only 80% of the total invoice is given as credit facility. That is, we already explained that in case of factoring, if you're producing a bill worth rupees 1 lakh and suppose the charge is 50,000 for providing factoring service, then in case of 1 lakh, they will immediately pay you 80,000 rupees. Then remaining 20,000 they will pay only after completing the collection of the fund from the buyer. So once they collect the funds from the buyer, they will pay you the remaining 20,000 after deducting a certain amount for their services. Maybe the 10,000 rupees is their service charge. Then for the remaining 20,000, they will take 10,000 as their service charge and the remaining 10,000 will be given to you. Anyway, at the time of entering into the agreement, they will be paying only 80% of the funds in case of factoring. Whereas in forfeiting, 100% of the value of the export bill is given as credit under forfeiting. At the time of signing producing the bill of exchanges, the forfeiter is going to pay you the entire amount of the bill after deducting a certain amount as their service charge. Now, factoring may be with or without recourse. We learned different types of factoring. There's a with recourse factoring and a without recourse factoring. In with recourse factoring, the credit risk will be borne by the client himself and not by the factor. Whereas in without recourse, the credit risk is borne by the factor himself. That is, in case the buyer makes a default, the buyer does not pay the amount on the promised date. In case of with recourse factoring, the factor will inform the client that the buyer did not make the payment. Then it is the responsibility of the client to go and collect the amount from the buyer. But in case of without recourse factoring, if the buyer does not make the payment on the due date, then the factor will be the one who has to make sure that the buyer pays. And in case the buyer does not pay, and if there is a bad debt, then that bad debt will be suffered by the factor and not by the client. Now, so factoring may be with recourse or without recourse. But in case of forfeiting, it is always without recourse to the client. That is, in case of bad debts, the forfeiter will have to bear the risk. But there's a certain amount, a certain extent of safety for the forfeiter, because the buyer will always be guaranteed by an international bank. They will have the backup of an international bank who will stand as the guarantor that the buyer will make the payment. So there is less risk involved. But anyway, it is without recourse. In case there is any default, then the forfeiter cannot transfer that risk to the seller. The risk will be borne by the forfeiter himself. The next point of difference is factor cannot sell the receivables to a third party. When the client sells his bills receivable to the factor will hold it till the due date and then collect it from the buyer. But in case of forfeiter, he need not hold the bill till the due date. He can sell it in a secondary market. He can sell it to others. It is a bill of exchange. He can sell it to others and get the funds. Now the last point is a bulk of finance is provided against a number of unpaid invoices. So factoring will be dealing with a group of transactions, whereas in forfeiting, they are dealing in individual transactions. That is based on a single export bill arising out of an individual transaction only. So forfeiting deals with only individual transactions. Now, what are the merits and demerits of forfeiting? What are the merits? It is profitable and liquid. We are talking in terms of the forfeiter. See, the forfeiter or the bank that is entering into forfeiting, they have got the advantage of getting charges immediately. That is, they will charge 5%, 10% or 15% as service charge. They can get that amount from the customer immediately, and later on, if he does not want to hold the bill of exchange till the due date, he can sell that bill of exchange to someone else again. So it is profitable and liquid for the forfeiter. It is simple and flexible. This is with regard to the exporter. The exporter can enter into forfeiting without much complications or without much documentation. It is comparatively a simple procedure. Then it avoids export credit risk because the credit risk is borne by the forfeiter. The exporter is free from facing the risk of bad debts. The risk is borne by the forfeiter. Now, avoids export credit insurance. If the exporter does not engage in forfeiting, then he will have to insure his goods in case of an export. So if the person is approaching a forfeiter and is involved in forfeiting, then he need not take export credit insurance. Now, confidential and speedy. It is very quick because they are dealing with only one transaction at a time. So it is quick to get the cash immediately and without any delay. 100% finance. When the exporter or the seller approaches the bank, that is a forfeiter, and hands over the bill of exchange, they will cut a certain amount as their service charge, and the remaining whole amount is paid immediately to the exporter. And the benefit is fixed rate finance. The rate that is charged for the services of the forfeiter does not fluctuate. It is a fixed rate, so they can always set aside that amount in case they are involved in forfeiting. Now, suitable to all kinds of export deals. Whatever category of goods you are exporting does not matter. You can always opt for forfeiting. It could be capital goods, which are the goods which are used for producing further goods, or it could be commodity exports, which are finished goods being exported to other countries. So whatever be the type of the goods, you could always forfeit it. Now, demerits. What are the demerits? Non-availability of short and long period. See, only medium-term financing is provided in forfeiting. In short-term sales, the buyer might not be providing bill of exchange to the seller, so they cannot go and exchange it to the forfeiter. In long term, the forfeiter will not be willing to bear that risk for such a long period of time because they are bearing the risk of default or they are bearing the credit risk. They will not be willing to take up long term transactions. So it is suitable for only medium term transactions. Now, non-availability for financially weak countries. Even though the buyer is guaranteed to buy a bank in their country, the forfeiter will be reluctant to engage in trade if they are from a financially weak country. If the buyer is from a financially weak country, the forfeiter will assume that there is a possibility of default and he will not be willing to enter into the transaction. So this is another demerit. Now, dominance of Western currencies. See, in forfeiting, the transactions are always settled in dollar or pound or sterling. So the Western currencies are dominated, and Indian rupees, only those transactions or trade which involves foreign currencies are entered into. Difficulty in procuring international banks guarantee. Most of the time, the forfeiter will agree to forfeit the bill of exchanges only if the buyer is guaranteed by an international bank. Now, it is a responsibility of the exporter to get such a guarantee from the buyer, and this is a bit difficult for the exporter. Now, coming to the next fund-based financial service, which is bills discounting. So, it is a method of working capital finance for seller of goods. It refers to a fee charged by the bank from the seller of the goods to release funds before the end of the credit period. See, bill discounting, factoring, forfeiting are all similar terms, but there are certain points of differences between each term. Whereas factoring deals mainly with domestic transactions and occasionally with international transactions, forfeiting concentrates only on international transactions. In case of bill discounting, they will take up the letter of credit or bills of the customer and pay a certain amount in advance. The service is same, but there are certain points of differences between these terms. So let's see what are the difference. Before that, I like to explain what is bill discounting with an example. See, suppose you have sold goods to a person. Let's assume his name is Mr. X. He has given you a letter of credit from bank of 30 days. That is, he's handing over a bill of exchange or a promissory note to you, saying that he will make the payment after 30 days. Now, you do not want to wait for 30 days. You want the money immediately. Then you can approach a bank. The bank will charge some interest rate from you for the service that they are going to provide. And in return, they will pay you the bill of exchange, the amount of the bill of exchange. Now, the amount that is cut by the bank for their service is known as the discount. So the bank will charge some interest rate from you, which in return will be called as the discount for the seller. Let's assume if the amount which you were supposed to get was rupees 1 lakh. If you have made the sale of 1 lakh and before the 30 days you want the fund, so you will approach the bank. The interest that is charged or the discount which the bank is going to charge is 50,000. They will take 50,000 and they will immediately pay you that 95,000. Now the buyer will have to make the payment only after 30 days. The buyer will deposit 1 lakh to the respective bank on the 30th day only. So you're making a sale. You were promised by the buyer that the amount will be paid after 30 days. You do not want to wait till 30 days. So you will approach a bank. You will hand over the letter of credit or the bill of exchange to the bank. The bank will discount the bill of exchange. That is, they will pay almost 90% of the amount and 10% will be taken as their service charge, and they will pay you the whole amount. Now on the due date, that is after 30 days, on the 30th day, the buyer will make the payment to the bank who discounted the bill. Now, what is the difference between discounting and factoring? Bill discounting is regulated under the Negotiable Instrument Act, whereas in factoring there is no specific act. In bill discounting, there are 3 parties involved, that is the drawer, drawee, and the payee. Drawer is the person who draws the bill. That is, the seller will be the drawer. He will draw a bill that states that the drawee owes him this much amount and that it will be paid after so and so days. So the the seller will be the drawer. The drawee, the person on whom the bill is drawn, that is, the drawer will be making that bill for the buyer. That is, it is a statement saying that the buyer will make the payment after 30 days. So the bill is drawn on the buyer and the buyer is known as the drawee. And there will be a payee. Payee is the person to whom the payment is made. In this case, the bank that is discounting the bill will be the payee. So there are 3 parties, that is the drawer, that is a seller, drawee who is the buyer, and payee who is the bank that is engaging in bill discounting. In case of factoring, there is the factoring company known as the factor, there is a customer or a client, and there is a debtor who is the buyer. Now a financer charges fees in the form of discounting charges or interest. The amount that is charged or the fees that is charged is known as discounting charges or interest in case of bill discounting. In factoring, the fees that is charged by the factor includes both interest for the financial service and commission for extra service provided. So it includes both interest and commission, whereas in case of bill discounting, the fees includes service charge only. It is paid in the form of an interest. Now, in bill discounting, the bill is discounted and paid when the transaction takes place. But in factoring, they will give a certain amount as advance and the remaining amount will be paid at the time of settlement. Only after it is collected from the buyer, the remaining amount will be paid to the seller. In case of bill discounting method, only the option of recourse is available. That is, in case the buyer makes a default, the bank that is discounting the bill will contact the seller and the seller will have to make the payment to the bank. The bank will not be bearing the risk of a default, or the bank will not bear the credit risk. The seller will have to bear the risk. But in case of factoring, it could be either with recourse or without recourse. In with recourse factoring, the risk is borne by the seller or the client himself, whereas in non-recourse or without recourse factoring, the credit risk is borne by the factor and not by the seller. So these are the major points of difference between bill discounting and factoring. Now, those are the main points that are being discussed in today's class. We'll explain what is cash credit, venture capital, and insurance in the next class. Thank you.